What's up, rogues? Let's hop right into it. We're going to open up with a Tormented Andariel kill, and then we'll go ahead and do the Infernal Horns, as well as show off the Hell Tides with the brand new Teleport Flurry build. We can actually kill Tormented Andariel with just the first phase, as in he's not going to go into the ground and make you waste 10 seconds of your life. So this build is really good because it lets you teleport across the map with specifically Flurry. If you want to do like open world content, it's not that hard for any build to do open world content at this point. But what it does allow you to do with this version of the Teleport Flurry build is basically just have just crazy amounts of speed. You can even use the speed inside the Infernal Hordes, which I'm about to show you. It's really good. This is 100% the best version of the melee rogue. So if you like playing melee rogue, this is your build, as you can just teleport, kill, and it's super smooth and fast. Let's go ahead and go into some Infernal Hordes gameplay. As you see, we can just basically melt everything on a tier 7 without completely finishing off our masterworking here in the gameplay, but obviously you can min-max it much harder. 7 or 8s are definitely doable with this build, and it is very fast. Now, there is one thing that you do want to kind of look out for in terms of swapping if you want to go ahead and teleport. It's a very easy swap, because we don't have the armory system in Diablo 3 that's really awesome, where you can just like kind of swap builds. This build basically has a build between doing like speed content as well as doing some sort of like higher content. So you swap from Advanced Flurry to Improved Flurry for more speed. It's a really easy 2-button swap. This will also heal, but it's mainly used to teleport towards the target, but you don't have to use it if you don't want to, but I like it. It's really fun. It makes the build feel really good, and it makes it incredibly tanky. But if you want to have a better chance at completing Infernal Hordes a little faster, or the bosses, Advanced Flurry is much better. But that's all you need to do to swap. I am going to include 2 different versions of the build, as I really like the ability just to teleport with Shadow Step, but I felt like it was not really needed, as you'll see us basically Shadow Stepping the whole time. This is the rogue build to teleport. And I didn't really like the idea that every single rogue build basically had to play Umbercrux. You had to activate something so you would get the totem then do damage. I opted to make a really smooth build that you don't need Umbercrux, but if you want to play it, it's totally great. I'm going to have 2 versions down below linked, but they're basically the exact same with like a few exceptions, and I'll go over that when we can go over like the itemization. But if you want to run Doombringer and Umbercrux, you're going to get more survivability, and Umbercrux, how it works right now, it's actually a really good item. However, again, it requires you to push another button, where I'm just basically holding down Flurry and just teleporting in this Infernal Hordes. And I love it because sometimes you complete an objective and then you got to go way over there to do the other one. You can just dash teleport, and then it just makes the build feel so dang good, because the teleport doesn't even have a cooldown, because it's basically just like Shred if you've played Druid. So for starters, let's go and go over the skills and how we use them. There's kind of some options. I actually really like Poison Trap because it counted as a subterfuge if I was to play the Umbercrux, because it solves that issue and also activates a trap skill, and when the target moves away and it's still getting ticked by Poison Trap, it still counts, which is kind of a nicer thing. But Caltrops just gives you a lot of damage, so it's hard for any build to really drop Caltrops. But for starters, let's go and go over the skills. And first one is Shadow Step. We use to teleport, and then we use Flurry. These are the only 2 skills that are just like absolutely required. The rest, feel free to run what you want. Caltrops and Smoke Grenade are really just used for like specific bosses, or if like the Butcher comes in, you're not going to like kill Butcher in like 5 seconds. So it might take a couple more seconds to kill the Butcher, so these help out. And then you can run Dark Shroud or anything else. I like to run it in the very beginning, because so it just activates and it just activates your damage earlier on, but you can run whatever one you want because you have Umbrus also in the build. It's just kind of a free open slot, and then Dash just for more mobility. For the specialization, you actually don't really need anything here. The reason why I don't put anything is just because there's not really any ones that would actually benefit you. If you are having resource problems and you want to kind of use this to level up, just run Inner Sight up to the point where like energy is not a problem, which does require Ring of the Starless Skies. But if you're trying to run this build without Starless Skies or without the Ubers, 100% run Inner Sight. It's going to make everything super easy. The reason why I don't just throw Inner Sight and get free resource is it conflicts with one of the best things in the game, which I assume is going to get absolutely nerfed to the ground next season. Second Wind is so busted. You can craft this on any of the defensive stats and your amulet. It gives you just crazy amounts of survivability. So every time we spend 100 energy, we gain 150% of our maximum HP as barrier for 3 seconds. And it's quite often up, and it is so incredibly overpowered. Yeah, like I said, I expect this to get completely destroyed in the next season. But really good stuff, and the Inner Sight conflicts with it. But when you're leveling, it's not really a problem for survivability, so you don't even need Second Wind. But I'd recommend to check out like the Heartseeker build, but you can still use this to level. It's a really good build because you can just teleport around around. Once you're about level like 30-ish, this build starts to feel really good. It's just resources kind of become a problem, but Inner Sight really fixes that real easy with this build in the earlier stages before, again, Starless Skies. But specialization doesn't really matter. Heck, you can run Preparation, run Ultimate. I put a bunch of things in like the notes over here, so I recommend checking them out if there's anything that's confusing. But the specialization doesn't really matter here. And then as far as our gear, we want Harlequin. If you don't happen to have it, Cowl of the Nameless is an excellent item because it gives you ranks to trick attacks. But Harlequin's really good. Tyrael's Might is really good. But if you don't have this, run bonus ranks to Dark Shroud, get some resistance here, get some armor on the helms, so it can equalize it. Aspect of Elements is our first aspect over here. You can run whatever offensive one you want. I just don't even have extra room, so Elements was okay, just because it's up half the time. So Intercom and Edge Masters are great as well. We already have those filled out. But this is really great. You're just looking for ranks to Flurry, crit strike chance, attack speed, generic stuff that you're looking for in every single Diablo build. And then damage per Dark Shroud is what you want to temper on every single offensive piece of gear. And then you do want on the utility slots 2 copies of Flurry Size and 1 copy of the chance to freeze, so you can get your bonus from some of the glyphs, as well as over in the skill tree, there is like bonus when something is frozen, you get more damage. So you want 2 to Flurry in terms of Flurry size. It used to be on the weapon that you crafted, but they actually removed it and swapped it to utility because no one really got it over there. Just as a heads up, the scale is bugged right now. Flurry size doesn't show that it's a giant circle. I mean, it hits way farther. I mean, you can see we're hitting way farther away. It's bugged. How it used to work on PTR, it would show the size. It would show this giant size, but that doesn't work anymore. For some reason, the game is bugged. Diablo 4, a lot of you guys that play the game probably know this game's always filled with bugs. That's another bug, and hopefully it will be fixed in the future because it was working before. So if you get the Flurry size temper, it does work, but it doesn't visually work. So what I mean by that is you can still hit targets that are farther away, but the animation of it doesn't actually increase the size. So it still works. I tested it out. But anyways, next up, we do want the Umbrous aspect. Really good stuff indeed. And then also Second Wind cast, put that on your pants and your amulet, unless of course you're running Inner Sight. And then you just get like max life, that's fine. And then Concussive Strikes, we are going to be rapidly applying Daze, and so this is going to be the best choice over here. And then we're also running Encircling Blades. You want this on your two-hander over here, so this is going to make it so Flurry is going to deal damage in a circle around you, and it's really great for that. And then we're also running Breakneck Bandits aspect, so this is going to make it so Flurry deals more damage and has a chance to stun enemies with it, so you apply a form of crowd control over here, which is great. And then you have Ring of the Starless Skies, really good ring. If not, you can run another ring with just another bunch of offensive stats. And then Accelerating, basically you just duplicate the ring over here, but run a different aspect for offensive, or if you need resource, you can run like Umbral or whatever. Accelerating aspect is great though, it's going to give you more attack speed. And then we're just, again, looking for basically the same thing. The damage per Dark Shroud is really, really good. And then if you want to play Umbracrux and Doombringer, those are both great options. You can play one Umbracrux and then one of the other ones. If you want to run Edge Masters, Intercom, these are just ones that give you damage. It's not the aspect that I actually really like. I really just like damage per Dark Shroud, as well as getting the Caltrop size and duration. Those are both 2 great stats. The weapon one doesn't really matter too much, but the offensive one, damage per Dark Shroud, I swear that thing, it has like the lowest weight, meaning that it's the hardest thing when you're tempering. It just doesn't want to hit that one. It always goes to like the Smoke Grenade, or it goes to the other one where when you break stealth, you get bonus damage. That one is the hardest thing to hit. Don't worry too much. If you don't even get the Caltrops one, don't worry about it. Just craft that one first, and you'll be good to go. I actually really like getting Dexterity now. If you guys didn't know, Dexterity actually only requires 9 versus 10 stats to actually get a benefit. So I actually really like getting a Greater Affix in the Amulet, but you could definitely get like Malice, Frigid Finesse, Exploit. Those are all really great, but those amulets cost in like the billions and billions in terms of getting them. But if you get lucky and get those offensive ones, just like always, they're great. But attack speed, crit strike chance, those are like really easy to hit. Like any of the main stat plus life, I'm sure you guys noticed, like they always roll on pieces of gear. So it's actually not too bad to go ahead and have dexterity now, as once you start getting greater affix dexterity on all your different pieces of gear and you start masterworking, it starts to add up because you get percentage dexterity in the amulet. It's not a flat amount. So it's actually quite strong now. But again, if you do have the options just get a greater affix, frigid finesse, malice, exploit. Yeah, get that instead. Just trying to keep the, the build realistic, where it's like not like, some builds like you require, greater affix, cooldown reduction, Harlequin, and then triple masterworking. It's not required. I try to make my build guides achievable by all players here, within reason. Like obviously, yeah, getting the mythic uniques is not impossible to get, but if you do want to play this build, this still does function without it. So as far as the gems go, we actually placed certain different things because this thing is so busted. Second win, I decided to go with emeralds for even more damage in the armor, but if you do need it, rubies, that's fine. It's not that big of a deal, and you can see I have really no problems with surviving here. And then keep in mind, I don't even have like everything completely masterworked in my gameplay at the moment. I still don't even have it. It's just like when I was playing this, everyone's like, dude, drop the build guide. This seems so much more fun than Barrage. And if you're wondering, is this build better than Barrage? For me, 100%. The reason why, Barrage relies off of a lucky hit for Andariels. And I still think that that is one of the best rogue builds in the game. And I already have the build for you guys. I'll link it down below. But even though that's the most like meta build, if you've played it, sometimes you go over there, you have to throw the totem, and it takes like 2 seconds. This one, I just teleport and I just kill everything. The difference is, in the boss fight, this one will take a little bit longer. But you could basically go scroll on TikTok for like a couple seconds, because the boss is so easy, all you need to do is hold down Flurry, and the thing will eventually die. The gameplay is very, very easy for the boss, and the bosses just have crazy amounts of HP. That's like the main difference. The bosses will survive a little bit longer with this build, but it's still like respectable. It's not going to be like Barbarian where it takes like 3 years to actually kill the boss. It's achievable relatively quick once you guys see the gameplay, or I'll fast forward to it later. But then if you need resistances and you don't have materials, these are fine, but you are more likely going to be putting in skulls and everything. I just wanted to go ahead and keep it here so I can mention it. Now that we're done with the aspects and gear, also under weapons, you definitely want to craft that damage per Dark Shroud. Then like Dex is a great stat. Dex, crit, or vulnerable damage, doesn't really matter. Just get life and dex, and those are the important stats. The other one, it doesn't matter. Choose whatever one happens to roll on it. And then let's go ahead and hop into the skill tree. So as far as the skill tree goes, I'll make it bigger. Shout out to my mobile viewers. All right, so let's go ahead and go over this. So the first 2 points does not matter. Then we max out Flurry, getting all of these, and we have a crazy bounce back because Flurry attacks 4 times per animation. And then we run this over here. This is how I have Shadow Step. There's a frequently asked question: how do you have crazy amounts of Shadow Step? So you can craft one like cooldown reduction on your ring for agility skills, but it's not really required. It's still like up at like 1.5 seconds. It's like really fast. I do happen to have some cooldown reduction because of Harlequin. But it's a really fast thing because it gives you a 3-second cooldown once you hit the enemy anyways. And then Caltrops over here, it's basically like every single build. And then Weapon Mastery, and then we get Trick Attacks. And then I like Methodical Dash. It's so good. This is how we are able to just dash constantly. It just gives you an extra charge and reduces its cooldown. Then we get the Dark Shroud over here, and then Smoke Grenade. And then we get Exploit Malice, and this is why we want that chance to freeze. Frigid Finesse is really, really good, and then we get Second Wind because it's super OP. If you do need more resources, this is fine. If you do need more movement speed, it's totally fine, but we have momentum. I'm actually capped because of my materials got movement speed, and as well as once you have momentum, it gives you another 30. It's really good, and then also you can craft on your boots if you want to extra when you have Dark Shrouds, you get more movement speed per, and you're going to have 200 movement speed, so you don't really need to take these anymore. But if you want them earlier while you're leveling, hey, go for it, man. No problem at all. But that is the skill tree over here. And then once we get into the Paragon board, I'll show you guys how it works. So in the very beginning, we're going to be getting closer because we're going to be running melee. And then we're going to go into Exploit Weakness with Pride because we are going to be doing physical damage. Then we get Cutting Stratagem with Combat, so we get some energy restoration. And then we go up into the next one, which is Cheap Shot with Control. And then we are going to go into No Witness with Devious over here. And we do want to put this one here because it gives you all the bonuses. It basically gives you way more HP. And then we also run Tricks of the Trade with Fluidity, which is great because we're spamming our agility skill. And then the bonus over here gives you all this extra elite damage, which is excellent. And then for the final area over here, we go ahead and get Deadly Ambush and Chip. The last few, like, they don't... These last 3 doesn't really matter the order that you put them in, but the rest, it will matter. And then we run Chip because we're going to be doing physical damage, and it'll kind of ramp up. And then, just like every single build, Deadly Ambush is just simply too good not to take. But you guys can see the boss kills aren't really that bad with this one. There's a lot of builds, basically the non-meta builds, like the non-super, like, uber S-tier builds, they take so dang long, but I want to say this one is relatively decent, especially because the rest of the speed with the waves is relatively fast, especially if you don't get the ones where like you have to stand in the circle and kill them. Any melee build just kind of like suffers from that because you have to get in the area. But once you go ahead and actually get the thing crowd controlled, you can see the HP, it's going down at a relatively decent pace, and you can, well, what are we at, like 15 minutes here? That was including the Andariel and like showing off the Helltide. It's relatively comfortable. Again, there are a lot of builds, if you guys have played some other builds, yeah, when you get to the boss, it just simply feels like it takes too long, and for the most part, I might have taken like the extra like bonus damage that they got on this one, which I think is totally fine because you get a bunch of shield, and so a lot of times you can sit in the AoE, but with Caltrops, it kind of pushes you back a little bit. But I would say the build is very, very good. It's an absolute S tier build, especially if you're looking to do like open world content, which you're going to have to farm eventually. You're going to have to get, you know, you're going to go to the Legion events to get some of the bundled herbs, so it's really great for that. But yeah, really, really fun build, and like I said, check the pin, as I'm going to link the build, and I'm going to put 2 different variants. If you want to play Poison Trap with Umbra Crux, it's all good. I just liked this version because it's super smooth, and you don't have to like activate these little like gimmicks. I felt like Rogue's have always kind of been like that. Where you're going to like throw down the Caltrops, got to activate your imbue. Like, it's got all these little steps where I wanted to make this build super, super smooth, and it's probably my favorite build right now of Season 5. I like it. It's just, again, the speed that you get, I'm going to go fast forward, when you go to like, again, other forms of content, there really isn't that many builds that come close, especially for like a melee build. Obviously, yes, I understand the Lightning Spear, Frozen Orb build that we uploaded before. That's probably 100% the best build in the game because you just throw the things and it just auto-targets everything and you can just play with your eyes closed. But I love this build because it's got great AoE clear and the movement speed is just, again, excellent. But anyways, have some fun with it. Let me know your thoughts if there's any ways to improve it, as I always like to improve my builds. And if you have any questions, let me know down below and I'll update the build guide as we go along. But Flurry, it's finally good. You guys have no idea how long this skill has existed in the game, and it's always taken a back seat to Twisting Blades, and it's finally better. By the way, if you're wondering, is Twisting Blades better or this is way better than Twisting Blades. But I still will drop an update to my Twisting Blades as, hey, people like other things, and that's really cool. But if you want to see an update to this build as well as other Diablo builds in the future, and this is your first time here, so I'm going to turn the bell on, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.